All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Kingdom of the Kael Isles. Yes, this is my custom D&D campaign that never has anything go wrong with it, and fate has appeared, and now I have to move all of the names back to where they're supposed to be.
Oh, please.
I swear. And Avok doesn't move because Avok is first in the alphabet. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the show today. I've decided to be Mr. Rogers. I have just forgotten my sweater or cardigan. He wore cardigans. If anyone would like to knit me a cardigan, I'll start off every episode going, "Hello, neighbors. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive." So Fade will be with us in just a moment, but he has a super badass portrait for his character. That's not his character because it's a female tiefling.
Yeah.
But maybe, Fade is having, different ideas about who he is. Just because he wasn't born a tiefling doesn't mean he can't identify as a tiefling. I will say right now, I apologize for the background noise. I'm going to do what I can to mitigate it as much as possible. But it is very hot in my room, along with other things going on that requires me to have a fan going constantly. So yes, I apologize about the background noise. I will do my best to ensure that it doesn't completely ruin the game. Otherwise, yeah, let's get back to the kingdom. So you guys aren't in the Kael Isles anymore.
Yeah, we're in the Feywild.
Yeah, after fighting the Council of One, you guys got transported to the Feywild and met a gentleman named Empress, who protected you from a creature you later learned was called a Warforged, which are from the elemental plane of fire. And well, thank you, Death Wormed Over. Appreciate the update, because I have no idea how bad the sound is, because my OBS is telling me that my sound levels when I'm not talking are actually relatively high. Roll20 tells me that nothing is being picked up. So I'm getting various reports from various programs here about how bad the sound is. So I appreciate the update. Anyway, back to the game. I am not going to be able to concentrate tonight, guys. My brain is officially fried. So if I seem to jump between topics, I apologize. So going back into the game, while you guys have been in the Feywild, apparently it's a big deal. They have not seen anyone from the prime material plane in centuries. So they, Aramis escorted you to a small village where you were going to meet up with a regiment of the military that was coming off the Scorched Front, which is where the war between the fire, the elemental plane of fire, and the Feywild was happening. And they were going to escort you, because of how valuable you are, to the city of Rubyshire, where you would use the teleportation circle there to travel to the capital city of Alandwil. So, on your way, you guys got attacked by creatures that you had dealt with before, and it ended poorly for you guys. that I don't think you actually have had identified as of yet. You just had seen them, or technically not seen them before. And now you guys have recovered. There was a few people that were wounded or killed during the combat, so the rest of the people that are able enough to move on of this like regiment of military people are going to continue escorting you guys to Rubyshire because it's not safe for you to be out in the open. And the injured in that are just going to wait there for another group with clerics and things like that can tend to them. So now that we're back caught up, what do you guys want to do? Basically, combat has ended probably about an hour ago. You've had enough time for a short rest. And while the original plan was they were going to make camp there because of the combat and everything, the leader of this group, a colonel, decided that it wasn't a good idea to have you guys out in the open any longer than is necessary. So it's come down the ranks that you're going to continue moving and just leave these guys here for another group to come and take care of. So knowing that, is there anything you guys want to do before you start heading off again? Silence is golden, except when you're broadcasting.
Sorry.
It's fine. If there's nothing else that you guys want to do as far as like prep work or anything, or if you want to burn some hit dice to heal, you have a short rest basically that you can take.
Okay.
Mike said something. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh, I can't even actually see Mike. I'm going to try reconnecting. I didn't know Mike was here.
I can see you.
There he is. Yeah, I just had silence, so I'm like, this is dead air.
That's awesome.
I was listening to Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry. I was just gonna try to heal us up a little bit more. I know we got short rest, but if anyone doesn't spend hit dice, I'm gonna make sure we're topped off.
Sure. Okay.
It's worth it to me.
There you are.
So if anybody doesn't spend enough hit dice, let me know.
Okay.
I'm golden.
I'm going to spend some.
So while you guys are doing that, you're kind of tending to your wounds. Aramis, you guys have noticed that Aramis has been like with you guys, and then he would leave for periods of time, and then he'd come back, and he'd leave, and he'd come back, and he'd leave. And he seemed very, very flustered throughout this entire kind of hour waiting period. And you can see everyone else around the camp. There's this overall feeling of tension among everybody. One that you guys haven't felt in a while. Basically, you kind of get the same feeling you felt before you guys stormed the Platinum City. You know, just kind of that pre-battle tension. That kind of gives an energy to everyone that you can feel. So,
Well,
go ahead.
The Aramis told us that the Tempest Sovereignty is absolutely behind that attack.
Yes.
Like that's what we know about that. And then I know I asked
he mentioned specifically the words invisible stalker.
Right.
And that those are creatures from the elemental plane of air. So it's kind of damning evidence they don't exist anywhere but the elemental plane of air. There are, if you would like to find out more, would you like to know more? You can ask him or the other troops, but That's where his justification comes from.
Hmm.
Would they have taken any of the enemy forces? I know you said there were some Aarakocra that were dive bombing us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Would they have taken any of those bodies with as evidence?
No, they
Okay.
they buried the bodies. Like as much as they're at war with the
Yeah.
Tempest Sovereignty, they're still good enough to bury the bodies and everything like that. They're not desecrating them or anything.
Could I have gotten access to one real quick to try to speak with the dead with it?
If you'd
I
like,
mean, it's fine if not. I don't care. But
if you'd like to try, you can. That spell in particular, necromancy in particular,
oh yeah,
makes people a little bit awkward.
sure.
And some people might see it as kind of a desecration of the body. So if you'd like to do it, you can. You're going to have to convince one of the clerics that are doing last rites to allow you to do it, is what I'm saying.
I think I was so upset with the whole situation and making that little obelisk. I'll just not. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, you're starting, since having that revelation about Scar,
Yeah.
you started seeing your necromantic abilities in a very different light, and it's almost as if your eyes have been opened to how other people see you when you use these abilities. So you're now becoming much more aware of the fact that most people tend, anytime necromancy is involved, most people tend, at the bare minimum, they tend to be kind of put off by it. And there are quite a few groups that outright revile the idea of necromancy in general, and then other people that see it more as a necessary evil.
Fair enough.
You've yet to meet the person other than Corin that was like, necromancy's awesome. And Corin didn't turn out all that well.
Yeah, except for Fate himself.
Yeah, well, again, Fade's a special case.
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk to, or I'd like to at least talk more with Aramis about.
Okay. It's hard to nail him down for the hour that you guys are going, or doing the short rest. But once that's over and the company starts moving, he sits down beside you guys, and seems very alert, but doesn't seem to be leaving anytime soon.
Aramis, what? I understand that we know we have a good idea who sent these things for us, and I know we already talked about how she could have gotten that information, but what is the goal here? Why would they want us dead? That doesn't make sense to me.
They may not have wanted you dead. However, unconscious bodies are much easier to move against their will than conscious ones. And the Tempest Sovereignty has powerful clerics. If one of you were to die, they have ways of extracting information from you, or even attempting to bring you back. Resurrection is extremely difficult since the lower planes have been cut off from us, but certain powerful clerics have been able to pull it off. So yeah, I don't think they were trying to kill you as much as they were trying to incapacitate you and then take you. Though invisible stalkers are not known for their let's say discretion.
Look. Seems like poor planning on their part.
Well, invisible stalkers are kind of their go-to ambush option. The fact that they're invisible and they stalk people makes them very good for finding very specific targets. I've seen a few times where they've actually killed their own stalkers just before it kills its prey to ensure that they get the person they're trying to capture. Invisible stalkers are unique in the fact that as long as they can get on the same plane of existence as you, they can find you anywhere.
So I know when we left Shorestock, you thought we were going to be okay with this regiment, but I mean, look what happened to them. What else can we expect from the aqueous realm or the terrestrial commonwealth? What's next?
Well, what's next is we thought we had moved you faster than they could track. Now we know that's not true, so we're a little bit better prepared. Like, I won't be leaving until we reach Rubyshire. I have a few tricks that make me slightly a better guard than the ones you had previous. So, yeah, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we're only a couple days' journey at a forced march from Rubyshire. The closer we get to the city, the safer we are. They have a standing regiment there that's going to be coming out to meet us. The bigger our force is, the less likely anyone's going to attempt to attack us.
All right, well, let us know if there's something we can do to get there faster.
Yeah,
Our biggest
if what,
issue,
I help scout too.
we can't really afford to risk that. I know you're quick and stealthy, but you get separated, they get a hold of you, bad things could happen.
Okay.
Again, the whole purpose of this war is that they all want control over the gates to the prime material plane. You guys are the only people that have crossed over from there. Even your dead bodies would be highly valuable as far as study is concerned.
So comforting. Thank you, Aramis.
It's what I'm here for.
Are we currently on that cart that we were on before?
Yeah, you guys have actually been traveling since
Okay.
you've been talking.
Right.
You see some horses and things like that, but it's such a the regiment that you're going with started about like 1,000 people strong, and now you're down to like 800 or 900 due to injuries, death, and then just people staying behind to protect the injured and everything. So it's such a big group that not everyone can be on horseback.
Fair enough.
And
I'm not gonna. Go ahead.
Well, normally the journey would take like a day-ish if it was just a small group, but moving 900 people takes a lot of time. So you're moving as fast as you can with this big a group.
I'm going to just actually out loud just start talking and like look at the party and back in the Council of One's chambers. Willow, what happened to you? You were like floating through the air towards that machine. What happened?
Well, I was in the machine, if that makes any sense. Like,
No, not at all.
psychically, I think, in trying to reach out and arcanely adjust it. Somehow I tapped in and I could hear so many voices. I think it was all the people that he was stealing life from. I think it was all of us. And then when I was getting closer to try and stop it, to end his connection, he noticed I was there. So I think he was pulling me back to stop me. I don't know.
Makes sense.
I've never experienced anything like that before.
I have a problem with how that all happened, obviously. My only goal is to get back. Like, that's it. Like, this is all bullshit to me right now. But I don't see why it's such a big deal. We just need to find someone with enough power. I don't understand how everything's been plainly locked or whatever we want to call this. I mean, Song just walked through like it was no big thing. That doesn't make sense to me. How did she do that?
Must come from being one of those sins or whatever.
And she probably fucked someone.
That too.
Then then we just need to find another one of them. Or what's their? I look at Aramis. What's the opposite of the sins? You said there are 7 heavens with the Elysium and everything in the SMR.
Well, there's the 7 deadly sins, and then the 7 noble virtues. And they, before the Chosen Wars, they were kind of the servants of the gods. They weren't chosen. They didn't have, a piece of the gods in them. But they were blessed by the gods. That was their purpose. Now, since the gods have a notoriously bad relationship with actually communicating with any of us, they were kind of left to their own devices as far as how to serve the gods most effectively. They were kind of hit or miss. There were some times when the 7 deadly sins were a highly, looked upon group, and sometimes when they were considered a truly bad experience to have any of them show up. And the same is true about the noble virtues. Like, some of them were amazing and wonderful and saved entire cities, sometimes, entire countries from horrible fates, and other times where they razed cities to the ground in the name of balance or duty. As far as the most recent versions of them, I couldn't tell you. Again, the 7 deadly sins tend to reside in Tartarus, and the noble virtues are in Elysium. We haven't had contact with that for 600 years.
Okay.
However, they were interplanar beings. They traveled all the way out to the outer planes, all the way back to Tartarus. Wherever the god's will needed to be enacted, that's where they went. So if anyone would know how to go between planes, it would be one of them. It's kind of in their job description, actually. Again, my understanding was they all died off shortly after the Chosen Wars, and no one... After the Chosen Wars, the relationships with the gods became weird, to say the least. The last time I was aware of, they didn't exist. New sins and new virtues hadn't been chosen, hadn't been blessed.
Maybe I'm not putting this together right, Aramis. Are you saying that the virtues were the chosen? As
No,
were the
the virtues are blessed by the gods. The chosen are chosen by the gods. They have a piece of their deity in them. They're more than regular people. Like the seven deadly sins are very, very powerful beings, but they're still, beings. Chosens are halfway between, beings and godhood. They have the essence of a god, a small portion of it. They have an essence of a god inside them. And that gives them it's more than just strength. They can change things that no one else can.
How do we know that?
Well, that's what the Chosen Wars were all about. The Chosen could change things. They could break demonic contracts. They could end curses levied by the gods. They could curse people in the name of the gods. They could change how reality worked. It's part of being a god. They created the world to work in a certain way. And then by giving these chosen just a tiny piece of them, the chosen could do things that mortals couldn't. And even as much as the Eladrin may consider themselves not part of the, quote, mortal races, we do eventually die. As chosen were different.
So, out of character, this is the first information Fate has gotten about what he agreed to with the god.
Yep.
So I think at this point he just kind of like eyes glass over and he just clams up and like there's no nothing, just like holding perfectly still and just kind of freaking out inside.
Can I have you roll me a deception check?
Sure, that's not going to go well at all, but yeah.
Do any of us notice this?
You can roll an insight check if you'd
trying
like.
very hard not to look at Fade, so
If you're actively doing your best to not look him, don't make an insight check. But
yeah, I'm not going to.
12.
okay.
I'm gonna make an insight check because all this info is just boring Avok that he's just looking around him.
Avok doesn't care. He's like, can
Not
I kill
at
it?
all! He doesn't give a shit about this. Oh my
If
god.
I can't kill it, doesn't matter to me.
Exactly. What is my insight? Okay. Yeah, he's just bored out of his mind. Forget it.
Avok's in the corner just going.
Okay, he's not losing his mind. He's bored out
No,
of
but
his
that's fun. You didn't do that when you were a kid. You just go.
How's about this? He does the thing Donkey does in Shrek 2.
So I rolled a 13
Donkey!
on my deception check.
Yeah, you break out into a bit of a flop sweat. You can feel your heart starting to race and your breathing becoming more shallow. But your clerical training has you kind of learn to control your emotions, because your emotion and your faith is what controls your magic. And so learning how to control it and channel it effectively was part of your training. And so you, as this is all happening, you slowly kind of get yourself under control. And as you look around, it doesn't seem like anyone has noticed that you can tell. Or at least nobody is, staring at you.
Sure.
but it's probably obvious that Willow is deliberately not looking.
Yes, Willow has now is almost straining her neck to find things to play I Spy with.
Doesn't want Aramis to make that connection, so will not try and make it for you.
Yeah. I think I'll make like a little gust of wind blow at him from the side or something.
So, unless you guys have more questions, the travel continues. You guys are ambushed another 2 times before you guys make it. None of them are anywhere near as deadly as the one with the invisible stalkers that you guys just dealt with. Mostly because you guys didn't realize this at the time because you were dealing with invisible stalkers. But the troops that you guys are traveling with are incredibly well trained. Avok, again, you have experience fighting with people. These people know the people that they're fighting with so well. You see them doing combination attacks and things like that without looking for confirmation from their allies and things like that. Signs of people that are used to fighting side by side with each other. And that's something that you only get from actually fighting with people. So by the time you guys get to Rubyshire, you kind of understand, first of all, what a big deal that first attack was. And second of all, how big an ambush it had to have been. Because the other attacks, you guys didn't have to draw your weapons. You saw them happening. You guys probably, got involved a little bit just because that's who you are. But the guards and everything around you and just the army around you were more than capable of defending you. So it just even kind of adds a little bit more weight to that attack was completely out of the blue. And they were so unprepared for it that bad things happened. So again, it takes you guys roughly about 2 days, and on the morning of the second day, as you guys wake up, you actually traveled really late into the night, both days, to try and make as much ground as physically possible. They took the shortest rest they possibly could, and so it was really, really dark by the time that you guys actually made camp. When you woke up in the morning, it was still kind of pre-dawn. It was still too dark to really see anything. You started going off. As the light started to crest the horizon behind you, because you guys are now heading east. It would have crested in front of you because it rises in the east. And so, oh wait, no, this is the Feywild. There is no sun. As it changed color, I told you guys, my brain is Swiss cheese right now.
It's okay, Jody.
As you guys got up and you looked, you saw in the distance what looked like a tower relatively similar to the council tower that was in the upper city in the Platinum City, shape-wise and construction-wise. And as you get closer, you notice that the tower itself is, at least from appearance sake, looks to be made of ruby. Like one solid piece of ruby carved into a relatively, probably like 50 to 60 foot high tower.
Shiny.
Yeah, the lights from the unseen source of light in the Feywild kind of dances off it, and it kind of glints. And you can see the tower itself. You can see well before you can even tell that there's a city there. Hours before you guys are going to get there. So you guys travel another 4 hours, and you can see there is a city surrounded that surrounds this tower. And it's probably, size-wise, it's probably about the same size as the Platinum City. So it's a pretty big kind of metropolis style city, and around it is a wall made of some sort of red metal that you've never seen before. A few hours more, and you guys actually get to the city itself. You can see there's watchtowers, and it's a very well fortified city. But you notice that the watchtowers themselves are made of rock and steel, compared to the kind of bizarre red metal that creates the wall itself. You see the gate that you come to has obviously been reinforced recently, because the gate itself is this beautiful carved, almost like cherry wood colored door that's massive, close to 30 feet tall, big double doors with big bars of this red metal inlaid into it, and very, very intricate. And then you see additional reinforcements all over the door to just kind of strengthen this large wooden door. And as you get there, the doors themselves open, and you are met with this cacophony of sound and smells and sights. And as you go into the city, it is absolutely bustling. There are creatures you have never seen before just running around rampantly. You guys smell some pleasant smells that seem somewhat familiar, like you can smell cooked meats that smell different than meats than you're used to, but it's obviously cooked meat, and breads and things like that. And then you can smell, Willow, you specifically start smelling spices and things like that instantly starts getting your mixologist brain thinking, because you're like, that's a new smell, I could use that in this way and this way and this way, and you're going through all the different drinks that you know and going, that would make a really great, and maybe this and maybe this. Fade, you notice immediately as you get into the town, there is an energy. And Willow, you notice this a little bit too, but you're kind of preoccupied with spices. There's an energy, like an actual tangible energy field in this town that you can feel. And Kata, you would notice it too, because again, on the outside, you are just almost overwhelmed by the nature around you. And when you get into the town, the nature feeling just stops. And you can feel this, again, this almost palpable energy that the entire town is just suffused with. Or infused. I'm not sure if suffused is the right word. I actually don't know what the word suffused means. But it sounded like it was the right word, right?
I think you're fine.
I'll look
Is
it up later.
Cogsworth with us or nearby? The
Cogsworth.
lieutenant?
Say again?
Is the guard detail the leader, Lieutenant Cogsworth? Is he still with
Thank
us?
You. He as soon as you guys got in, he said something to Aramis, and then he kind of disappeared.
Okay.
But disappearing in this city, not a difficult thing to do. Like there's so much going on, and most buildings are at least 2 or 3 stories tall. So turning a corner, they might as well as have teleported to a different world.
Can I look at Aramis and just ask him, are we going to see Esmiel? Empress Esmiel?
Yes, and generally, I mean, you guys are special. Generally, you don't reference the leader of an entire empire by her first name. Generally, Empress, or like my Empress if you were one of her subjects, or Eternal Empress, even Empress Esmiel maybe. but I probably wouldn't refer to her by her first name.
Are we going right there, or are there some kind of protocols or bullshit that we have to bureaucracy that we're gonna have to deal with?
What
No,
face?
we're going to teleport to the Imperial Palace in Alandwil,
Sure.
and then you're going to be taken in to talk with the Empress. No bureaucracy, no nothing. They're taking you directly to the Empress. They will probably ask you to disarm yourselves before you see her.
Will you be coming with us?
I don't really have a choice here. She
What?
apparently wants my read of the situation.
Well, I'm glad you're with us now, at least.
Well, I mean, no offense, you guys are great and all, but yeah, I'm just not a big city guy. You know, I'll be happy when I'm out in the wilds. Anyway, it's going to take them probably 20-30 minutes at least to realign the teleportation circle to take us directly to Esme, to the Empress.
See?
I've known her a little longer. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that. We're going to pretend that I never said that. Yeah. You want some food? I want food. And he just walks into, like, he walks into, it almost looks like he just walks into the first building that's nearest to you guys.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming you all follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you go in, you are almost assaulted with the smell of food you have never smelled before. Some of it smells pleasant, some of it smells weird, some of it smells unpleasant, but it's definitely different. And the place that you guys are in is packed. You look around, it is obviously just a restaurant. This is not like a tavern or an inn or something like that. Like, all they do is serve food here. No rooms, no, anything else like that. And you have come during one of the rushes, you assume, because there isn't a single empty table open. You see Aramis up, talking with which you assume is a hostess. It's a woman who's standing at kind of like a podium, and you can see other people are kind of just waiting to get a table, things like that. And Aramis comes back to you guys and go, "Follow me." And as you come past, people kind of give you this look of disgust. And then you see kind of like a whisper spread through the crowd, and the look of disgust changes to this look of like, and then you're very quickly moved past them to a booth at the far end of the restaurant. And as you guys sit down, this young man comes over and goes, "Hello there. I shall be your server. What can I start you all with?"
I look at the Eladrin. We're not from around here. Border
Yeah,
forest.
give us chef's choice. Whatever's good. They'll be happy for it. And chilled wine. Yes, chilled wine. That'll be great.
I'll take a fucking ale.
And a fucking ale for him. Certainly, sir. Chilled wine for the rest of you, and a fucking ale for the large one. And your food will be ready soon. And he gives a bow, walks away.
I lean towards Aramis and like, remember, we don't have money from here.
Don't worry about it. The Empress is paying for all of this.
I look at Avok and kind of smirk. I'm gonna have some drinks.
Uh,
Found it.
Remember, you are meeting the leader of a country that covers a plane of existence.
Remember, I am completely emotionally fucked right now. I'm going to get
No, this
shit
was
faced.
this was Aramis saying
Okay.
that.
All right, and this is Avok's response. Your point is,
Oh, this is going to go well.
we pay if we need to. We get all this platinum.
Yeah.
Willow just cuts a very strange look. Like, what are you talking about? We have platinum.
it's a long story. Forget about it right now.
And as much as we're in, I mean, Eladrin cities are nice. Maybe let's not talk about how much platinum you just happen to have in a crowded place.
Sorry.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah. No, we don't have any platinum at all. So you guys, as you're sitting there, food just kind of starts appearing on the table. Like people you don't recognize, obviously waitstaff, start coming over and they have like appetizers and hors d'oeuvres and things like that they start bringing out. The chilled wine comes, and Avok, your ale comes, and all the food is amazing. Definitely not kind of the kind of comfort food that you guys were eating in Shorestock. This is definitely more, elegant food and things like that. Very well prepared, obviously fresh. You see creatures that you have never seen, but like you can't really identify a lot of the meats that you're eating. Some of the plants don't look anything near familiar to you, but everything tastes good. And you see Aramis seems to be having no trouble eating it. Like he's not hesitating or anything. Do we lose Katie? And there goes Avok.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna like shot for shot or drink for drink with Avok. I know he's gonna win, but I don't care.
Okay.
At this point, we're probably just drinking buddies.
Yeah.
Pretty much, Avok is just eating and drinking, and just like this is. I mean, this isn't like joy drinking, because whatever. This is just he's just doing it.
Okay.
Something familiar.
What's up?
It's something familiar.
And it's nice to have some food in your stomach and a good ale. So that's really...
So Fade and Avok get kind of sloshed. Avok probably. Well, here, roll me a perception check, Avok, with disadvantage.
Okay. I thought we were going to roll Constitution to see how much alcohol I could take.
No. You'll find out why if you roll a decent perception check.
That's a 21. I'm sorry. Make that 19.
18. You start realizing after you down probably like your third ale that it's starting to taste slightly weaker. And as you get your fourth one and you start doing shots and things like that, you start realizing they're giving you less and less alcohol.
And more water.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
I guess we just gotta drink more. Make up for it.
Eventually your stomachs will burst.
No, are they watering down the alcohol, or are they just like deliberately pouring less and less into the glass?
They're watering it down. They're making it look, and they're making like virgin versions or partial versions of the mixed drinks and stuff that you guys are calling for and stuff like that. Like they're actively ensuring that you're not going to be slobbering drunk when you meet the Empress, basically.
Well, the moment Avok realizes that his drink is not as strong as it should be, he just like pours it out onto the floor and drops
Yeah,
the glass.
Which mortifies the wait staff at first, and they
I clap.
immediately get their composure back. Composure back, and they clean it up and go, "Wouldn't sir prefer another vintage? Perhaps something without as much alcohol in it. We have a fine selection of fruit juices or..."
Oh man, I can't believe I'm doing this, but this is Avok at his worst, probably. Do me a favor, just fuck off.
Certainly, sir. And you can see Aramis is just like, he's biting his tongue enough that he's tasting blood.
Willow just mouths sorry to them, but doesn't get involved.
It's still not the worst tavern experience I've had a party have. I had one that actually thought a customer was a waiter and confused him enough to get a random customer to deliver her drinks to her. Go ahead, Fade. What was it?
I think I'm just gonna like probably cast light on one of the bottles and just like I'm probably like way much more of a lightweight than Avok, so I'm probably feeling it. I'm just kind of like looking in the bottle, hoping there's more in there.
Yeah, for the most part, you probably noticed. Well, actually, no. With a 19, Avok would have noticed before you did. But they were monitoring you pretty well, so you've got that kind of little buzz to you. But you're not even sloshed.
Very upset.
Mm-hmm. Aramis, are we done here?
Yeah. I think we've insulted the waitstaff enough.
They insulted me first.
Yeah, and hopefully that means that there wasn't any spit in our food. I'll take care of the check. Just leave quickly, please. I used to like eating here.
Avok does not hesitate. He walks out.
Yeah, I slunk out.
Kata nursing her full belly.
I think Fade is like pretending to be drunk. Like he wants it so bad, he's like thinks he is. So he's just kind of like.
So it's more psychological
waitstaff,
than physical. Makes sense. Yeah. To be honest, shock and drunk look remarkably similar.
Fair.
Willow kind of just pats him on the back and gently leads him out.
All right. So you guys get out. It takes less than 5 minutes for Aramis to get you guys and goes, all right, come on, let's go to the Ruby Tower. This is going to be fun. As you guys travel a little bit, you are met by Lieutenant Cogsworth, and he kind of silently nods at Aramis, looks at you guys, just does an about face, and leads you to the Ruby Tower, which is fortified. There are guards. There are. It looks like they're murder holes. If you guys are familiar with they're arrow slits, but they look fairly recently added because there's discoloration and things around them that shows that it wasn't built that way. They were added in. They're like, this is not a place you would want to attack ever. And as you get there, the lieutenant talks to the men. They kind of part, and you are rushed into a very dark room. And it's just you and Aramis, and that's it. And suddenly you guys see lights just kind of spring into existence around the walls. And this elderly Eladrin, wearing fairly elaborate robes, comes forward. and says, "You may want to brace yourselves for this."
Oh.
And he kind of kneels down and places his hands on the ground, and a circle that you couldn't see before lights up underneath you.
Fucking hell.
And
Oh,
you guys
God.
feel magic just kind of swirl around you. And you guys feel this very unique sensation of just kind of being pulled through through the world, and you see this kind of burst of lights and colors, and suddenly you are in a completely different room. The walls themselves are silver with a gold trim. It is very well lit. There's windows and skylights in here, and you see a group of Eladrin with these tall tower shields and kind of glaives, spear type things. They're a little bit longer than spears, but not quite, hefty enough to be a glaive. Standing there. Say again?
Halberds?
Kind of. Not quite. Like, halberds, technically a halberd is like a pole axe.
Right.
These, the blade isn't curved as much. It's still kind of pointy. It's just a longer, like, you could slash with it if you want, but it mostly is for poking. But it's unique enough. So they're sitting there with these tower shields and then these spear-like things. Everything that they're wearing is a mixture of silver and gold. Though you think more likely than not it's probably steel, and then like rose-colored steel. Or I mean, not rose-colored, like gold-colored steel. Because none of this looks ceremonial. Like, all of it looks very functional. And so you see, again, a good, like, 10 or so of these guards just standing there waiting for you. And then from behind you, you hear a voice going, "Aramis, it's been quite some time since we've seen you in the capital." Yeah, I've been meaning to get back here for a while, but with the scorched front and anything, you do not have to lie to me, Aramis. It is the Empress you will have to convince of your falsehoods. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Theus, these are Fade, Kata, Avok, Willow, and Elaine. Guys, this is Theus. He's an asshole. It is a great honor to meet the travelers from the prime material plane. If there is anything I can do for you, please do not hesitate to ask. However, my current duty is to bring you before my Empress. So,
Without hesitation, please do.
certainly. The guards here will hold on to your weapons. If you would please disarm yourselves, they will be very well kept. If you would prefer them to be oiled, sharpened, anything during your meeting, please do not hesitate to ask. We have the finest smiths in all the elemental kingdoms. Though, and he looks, Avok, as you hand over your axe, he actually picks up the axe, And just kind of judging him, you would think, because it's got weight to it, you wouldn't think him to be able to kind of lift it. And he very easily kind of looks at it and kind of moves it around, looks at the blade a little bit. He goes, although something like this, I doubt any but the greatest of smiths could even handle. This is a very impressive weapon, Avok.
Yep, I better get it back when we're done.
You have my word as an Eladrin. None but these guards will touch your blade. And he hands it over to one of the guards. And you see him look at him. You will ensure that nothing happens to our esteemed guests' weapons. Is that understood? And without even hesitating, he's like, yes, Lord. Well, if you would follow me to the audience chambers. And he kind of gives a sweeping gesture to a door on the left. Or a opening on the left. There's no door.
Shall we, guys? Avok walks.
Yep.
Okay. The path itself kind of winds around a little bit, and eventually you come to a very large room. See, the room itself, again, like the room you came from, has a silver and gold motif. There are large banners hanging from the ceiling all the way to the ground. The ceiling is 30 or 40 feet up. This is a huge, huge room. You can see a large stained glass window that's allowing light through on the other side of the room, and these large banners are red and gold with bits of silver trimmed within them. And in the center of each of these large banners is a symbol of a tree with roots that turn gold and leaves that, like the tree itself is brown, but the roots eventually turn into gold, and then the leaves themselves are kind of a pale green that turns to silver on the outside, and it's on a layer of just emerald green behind it. And you see that symbol everywhere. You as you look forward, you see a pair of thrones at the other end of this room. One slightly larger and higher than the other, and kind of standing in front of that throne is this woman who is breathtakingly beautiful. She's wearing, again, this very functional looking gown that has the silver and gold trim. You can see on one of her hips is a sword. And you can see underneath kind of the gown dress thing, you can see glints of what looks like a form of chainmail. And she also has a very thin tiara of silver, emerald, and gold around. And her hair is silvery white, goes all the way down her back. And she's just standing there very expectantly. And next to her on a throne that's smaller and slightly lower is a man wearing a long sword on each hip. He wears this very dark what looks like a plate mail, but very, very customized and fit specifically for his body. You see a helmet resting next to his throne. The armor itself has bits of gold and things like that, but is mostly a kind of dark steel color. And he's standing next to her with kind of a neutral expression on his face. And as you guys all come in, both of them very slightly kind of tilt their heads down in what you assume is kind of a bow and a greeting. And as you get in, Theus does this very, very deep bow and goes, "Eternal Empress and Prince, I bring before you the mighty travelers from the prime material plane who have braved great danger to come before you and humbly accept your request for a meeting with them." And he keeps kind of rattling on for a little bit, and finally Aramis goes, "Theus, just shut up." And you hear Theus go, "Shut up, Aramis." And the man standing in front of the throne goes, "Shut up, Theus." And Theus like catches himself. He's like, I'm very... And the man standing there goes, "You may go now, Theus. We know who these people are." "Yes, of course, my prince. I would never think to overstay my welcome by speaking more than I should." "Theus." "Yes, my prince." "Shut up and leave. There are many more important things that you could do." "Yes, my prince." And you see him walk off, and you watch Aramis kind of lock eyes with the prince, and he locks eyes with Aramis, and you guys can kind of feel the tension between them. And the prince slowly walks down the steps until he is almost nose to nose with Aramis, and Aramis's hand moves towards his rapier on his belt. And then you watch very, very closely as the prince breaks just slightly, and you see this just tiny little grin. And finally the Empress goes, "Oh, will you two quit it? It's quite enough now. You're going to scare our guests." And the Empress turns to you. "I am very sorry about my love's behavior. He seems to find it amusing to make people feel uncomfortable." And that's when both Aramis and the prince burst out laughing. And they kind of hug each other, and they're like, they find this much funnier than you think they should. Obviously, there is a joke you have missed somewhere. They're starting to wipe tears from their eyes, and Aramis goes, "My Empress, my prince, these are the travelers I told you about. My new friends. May I introduce you to the Eternal Empress, Esmail, and the Prince Consort." And the prince kind of gives you a nod, goes back and sits down, and the Empress gives a curtsy. She's very regal and measured in everything that she does. And so she everything she does just seems to be very graceful. And then she goes, "You must be very, very tired from your long journey. Here," and as she waves her hand from the floor, 5 chairs just kind of rise up. "Please, relax. This may take quite some time."
Ooh.
Don't say you're fast, but I'd rather stand.
It is entirely your prerogative, Master Avok.
Will is very fascinated by the chairs and how they came from nothing and goes to sit on one and kind of tries to look at it just surreptitiously as she's trying to pay attention.
Sure, make me an investigation check.
Oh.
It is the coolest thing you've ever seen, but you got no idea what happened.
Oh yeah.
The Empress continues, "Would any of you enjoy a beverage?"
You know what? Yeah. How's about you get one of your, I guess they're your servants, just get me a very strong ale, because I got really screwed over not too long ago on that.
"Oh, there's no need for that." And she waves her hand, and a table rises up, and a flagon appears on it.
Right.
Will is now very fascinated by the table.
If I sniffs.
There's alcohol in there.
Takes a quick sip.
Delicious. Think of the best beer you've ever had. Just full-bodied, flavorful. I'm not a beer drinker, so I can only repeat, commercial words for how a beer tastes, but whatever a good beer tastes like.
If that's the case, then Avok is he's tasting good beer, and he wants to drink more, but he's trying not to
Wait, that in one gulp?
no, it's more along the lines of he doesn't want to break his demeanor.
Yeah. So after that, she turns to the rest of you. "Would any of the rest of you prefer something to drink before we start talking about exactly what has happened here?"
Some wine would be lovely.
And again, a wave of her hand, and on the table appears a beautiful crystal chalice with a red liquid in it.
Yeah, if we're gonna be talking for a while, I'm gonna need a lot more than this glass.
I think you'll find you'll be fine. And as you look, despite the fact that you've taken a few swigs, it doesn't seem like the level of the drink has gone down at all.
I haven't had this since... Wow, it's been a long while.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah.
It was when we first met.
Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of you like anything to drink? Something to snack on? These meetings can get rather dull.
I am drinking.
Guess so.
So she gets you, a little, a few snacks. Not like a meal or anything like that, but there's some fresh fruit
and probably some juice.
Yeah, water, some juice. Anything that you're really looking for, but nothing too she's not getting you Everclear, or grain alcohol or anything like that. It's classy stuff. No Jello shots. And then she kind of sits down and next to her appears, like just in her hand, appears a chalice that she drinks from. And you notice that the prince is not drinking anything. He's just kind of relaxing in his throne. And so as she drinks, he goes, "So, I guess I should be the one to start this off. What exactly has happened? How are you here? We have a portal no more than 1,000 feet from where you are sitting right now. And that portal has been completely unable to connect to the prime material plane in over 600 years.
Have you tried it recently?
As soon as your presence was detected, our mages immediately attempted to re-establish the connection with the prime material plane. It was unsuccessful.
So there's no way for us to go home?
Of course not. Why would there be?
We don't even know how you got here. That's
Neither-
one of the reasons we wanted to speak with you. If you can tell us more of what's happening on the prime material plane, perhaps we can... And as he says that, the Empress just holds up a hand and he instantly stops speaking. And she kind of smiles and goes, "Talion, these are our guests. They needn't relive such torturous memories so soon." And
I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but that's kind of been on our minds since we got here.
I understand. I simply do not want to put any more burden on you than is necessary. As you already know, you are quite spectacular. And simply your presence here is an occasion for great joy. I would hate for these investigations to make you feel uncomfortable in any way with how much they will more than likely help our people and hopefully your people as well. And you notice that her speech pattern is very measured and calming. Like whenever she speaks, you almost feel this wave of calm come over you. And the prince goes, "Yes, my Empress, I of course meant no disrespect against our guests." And he turns to you guys. "I obviously meant no disrespect against you whatsoever. I am simply very curious to find out exactly what has happened."
To be honest, we have no idea what sent us here.
Well, we do have some theories.
Well, you seem to be quite learned in the ways of magic,
Yes?
Miss Willow.
Yes, I am.
I would be interested to hear your theories from a magical perspective.
Well, I'm not sure magically, just more coincidental occurrences. A person appeared who my companions knew previously, who called themselves Lust, from which we have recently found out as potentially one of the 7 deadly sins, who sent us away.
Do you remember exactly what happened. Or if you don't mind,
Yes.
I have certain abilities that would allow me to see what it was you saw. It can be somewhat uncomfortable, but I promise I will make it the least distressful as possible, if you will allow me.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, do it to me.
Okay. Would you step forward, Master Fate?
Whatever she asks, I'll do it.
Okay. And so she comes over, and Dalian comes over as well, and he goes, it would be best if you knelt for this.
Always with the kneeling.
It simply allows you to be closer to the floor. Some people get quite lightheaded afterwards.
It's fine, I'll stand.
I'm trying to warn you. And he steps back, and she comes forward, and she places, and she's on steps higher than you, which is the only reason she can really do this, because you realize that she's probably a good foot shorter than you are, because you're not a small guy, I don't think, right, Fade?
Mm-mm.
No, yeah. So she's probably a good foot shorter than you. So she has to be 3 steps up, and she places a hand on your head, and you are instantly taken back to the last minutes of the fight with the Council of One. And you can see, the weird thing is, everything seems like it's frozen in time, and you can look around and you see the Empress standing in the middle of the room. And she's just kind of looking around. She slowly walks up to Lust, whose hand is kind of extended. You can see Lust's
Compatriots.
yeah, at the machine doing something. It seems like this is seconds before you guys were gone. And she's just kind of looking at Lust a little bit. You see her wave her hands, and some arcane sigils appear and disappear. And then she walks over to the machine, does kind of the same thing, and then walks over to you and places a hand on your shoulder. And she goes, I am so very sorry. We will do our best to get you back here as soon as we can. If we could send you back immediately, we would.
If there's anything we can do to speed that along, I'll do it. I don't care what.
This has been most helpful. You should brace yourself. And as she says that, you are immediately thrust back into her council chambers, and you feel lightheaded and start to kind of sway. And Dalian is there, and the prince, and kind of grabs you under the arms to keep you upright until you get your feet back.
I purposely put my full weight into his arms so I can get a measure of him.
He doesn't flinch. You feel a fair amount of strength.
Sure.
You, being Eladrin, you know that even really, really strong, muscle-bound Eladrin don't tend to build really big muscles. They tend to be very kind of lithe and wiry. But yeah, he doesn't flinch. You're relatively certain he could carry you like a baby if he wanted to. He looks at you, he's like, are you alright?
Just kind of play it up for a second. Just kind of laying limp there.
There's no one you need to impress in here. And he says that very, very quietly, so only you and him can hear it.
I'll try to stand up.
You get your feet back under you relatively quickly. It was just that experience of kind of coming back into reality that kind of knocked you off your feet for a second. Let you go. And he turns to the Empress. What did you find out, my Empress? Things are much, much worse than we could have ever imagined. Christopher has allied himself with the tieflings.
Excuse me.
But wait,
Said,
but we
I
kill him.
decapitated that motherfucker.
The device that is preventing interplanar travel. That device is of tiefling make. It's... The tieflings discovered a very long time ago a way to harness the internal energies of people and use it to power machines, to heal themselves, and in this particular case, to grant himself unnaturally long life and strength. I dare say, had you not stopped him, he would have been able to challenge my own power within a few short years. And by my own power, I mean not just my personal power. I mean the power of the entirety of my army. And of the Verdant Empire itself. I am so very, very sorry for what we did. It was never intended for that to happen.
What do you mean, what you did?
Christopher, as well as the other 12 lords that was sent to the prime material plane, along with their armies, were our most trusted warriors. They were sent there to protect the orcs that tended to the portal and to prevent the lower planes from being invaded by the elemental kingdoms. We saw that someone was aiding the elemental kingdoms, giving them information they should not have had, giving them access to power and technology and magic that was simply not possible for them to possess on their own. We feared that the next point of contention would be that side of the portal. And so we took steps to try and protect it. We assumed that our troops had failed. We had no idea the tieflings were involved at all. They were staunch allies of us, even trying to broker peace between the elemental kingdoms shortly after the war broke out. But that technology is not a ladron. It is from the tieflings. Undoubtedly.
And now they have it back.
Well, they may not. From what I was able to glean from Lord Master Fade's memories, I don't believe they actually control the device. Lust, as she calls herself now, took a lot of energy and willpower to open the rift that allowed her to travel where she did. And the only reason she was there was that she kept the rift open. As soon as it closed, it would have taken her and her compatriots back with her. So it's possible they have control over it, or it's possible someone else is taking control of it. We won't know until we can break through this barrier and see for ourselves. Or
Well, then we better get
someone
fucking
else
going.
makes contact.
Well, I think we've pretty much figured out what the issue is. Let's find a way to get this fucking shit fixed and get us home.
But how?
I wish it was as simple as that, Master Avok.
I don't care how complicated it is. If it's possible, then we need to do it.
That's when Dalian speaks up. I would ask that when you address my Empress, you keep a civil tongue.
Do I look like a fucking Eladrin to you?
No, you look like someone who's been through an awful lot, but that does not
Goddamn right.
give you the right to disrespect my Empress.
Dude,
Now,
I
we understand your plight. We are not trying to tell you that we are not going to help you. But there are forces at work here so far beyond what you comprehend.
what they fucking do. I don't care.
And you hear the sound of a sword being unsheathed as he starts moving towards you. And again, the Empress's hand comes up. Dalian. He doesn't understand. He was never taught the finer points of etiquette.
Huh.
Yes, my Empress. And he goes back and he sits back in his chair. Master Avok, I understand your wish to return to your world. The issue is we are fighting a war on 4 fronts. We are in constant danger of losing this war. All of our efforts have to go towards this, for if any one of the elemental kingdoms is able to gain control of the portal and get to the prime material plane, horrible things will happen. They have the ability to transform portions of your world into their world. I mean, you wouldn't want to see the Platinum City turned into a lake of fire, or your friend, the leader of the Black Sails, you wouldn't want to see him and his island turned into a volcano. or the oceans dried up into a desert of sand. That is what has happened. That is what will happen if the Scorched Dominion take over the prime material plane. We cannot allow that.
I get it.
Empress,
Yes,
clearly you have many battles to fight, but they are not our battles. If you would give us the leave, we will speak with whoever has the most knowledge about the transportation circles and about the last time contact was made, and anything that we can do.
you are
It would help us and help you.
currently speaking to the one who has the most knowledge. I am not
Oh,
Empress simply because of my beauty or my skill with a blade. I lead my people because I am the most able among all Eladrin to do so.
I do not question that, but you have already told us that you do not have the time to help us. So whoever does.
That's what I'm trying to say. No one. Our greatest minds are held up in war meetings. You are not of this kingdom. You are not one of my subjects. I cannot command you to fight in this war, nor does it feel right to ask you to make sacrifices for a world you will not born to. However, neither can I offer much aid. I can tell you, if you wish to continue investigating this on your own, I can give you certain resources that will prove that you are working in my name. They may open certain doors for you. They may close other ones. While my people love me, they are not the only people that live in the Verdant Empire.
Mm-hmm.
There are many spies and infiltrators among us. If this is the path you seek to follow, understand every kingdom will want you to succeed so that they may steal your success and turn it to their own. Any ally you make has the possibility of having ulterior motives.
With all due respect, Empress, that has been the case for all of our lives, for everyone we have ever met. It will be nothing new.
and besides, even if they try, I'll fucking kill them.
Seem to be a relatively single-minded person, aren't you, Master Avon?
I'm a soldier. It comes with the deal. Regardless,
Here,
we
and she waves her hand, and in front of you, you see what look like little metal, almost badges, or pins without the actual pokey bits, that look identical to the symbol on the banners that are hanging from, or the drapery that's hanging from the ceiling. These are my symbols. Use them when you wish to appear that you are working in my name. Again, working in my name can bring as much trouble as it does aid. So be careful how you use these. And at this point, Dalian stands up and goes, Empress, there is a very simple solution to all of this. And he goes up to Avok. You are a soldier. You fight. You help us to win this war. It's over. We can get back to your world immediately. And as he says that, the Empress goes, Dalian, as I've said before, this is not their fight. Then we hire them as mercenaries. We have been fighting this war for 1,000 years, and nothing has gotten done. These people have abilities that the enemy will not expect, my Empress.
Hey, Princey guy. I may be a soldier, but I do not take well to authority.
I didn't say you needed to answer to authority. I said we could use you.
Yeah, well, you ain't using me. No one uses me. I use myself.
And you see him just kind of fuming there, and he goes over to Faye. You understand sacrifice. I sense within you great power. We can pay you monthly stipends, bounties for enemies killed, areas conquered, whatever you want. Money is no objection.
I have a concern, Prince.
And that is?
You're saying that your lands are divided even, and you're barely holding your own against the other dominions, sovereignties, and commonwealths. Is there any reason we can't try to unify your people rather than fight and give one of them an advantage? If we defeat the Commonwealth, then the Tempest sovereignty has an edge. Why don't we try to solidify your empire for going out and doing something else
Our
that won't balance everything?
is solid. We are unified. There are spies. That is what my Empress has warned you about. There are spies everywhere. The changelings are quite adept at it, and have even infiltrated our own personal guard at one point. But make no mistake, the Eladrin are fighting as one. We are fighting 4 wars simultaneously. So even one front going away strengthens all 3 remaining fronts. One kingdom falling could mean the end of the entire war.
Is Aramis still here with us?
Yeah, he's kind of been sitting quietly watching all of this.
I turn and point to him. Aramis, you found us on the front of the Scorched Dominion. That's where you were. Is that the worst of it?
All the fronts are bad. I mean, I'm at the Scorched Dominion because I know the territory well. I'm used to fighting Warforged. I know Fire Genasi tactics. But there isn't a good war. There isn't a good front. It's
No, there
all
isn't.
bad.
I'll look back at the Empress and say that my faith is not in this war, or even myself, there are higher powers in the realm, in all the realms. Do you have a temple to the Dark Lady here?
We do. However, someone with your specific gift may wish to distance themselves from those temples. And she gives you this very knowing look. There are those who, when hearing a chosen has returned, might attempt to use your power for their own gains or simply to steal it from you. And those that follow the Dark Lady are not looked fondly upon, and therefore tend to be very fervent in their belief. And it has been a very, very long time since they have heard from their mistress.
I guess I just kind of actually turn my back to her and look at everyone else. I think I would have stepped a little bit closer to her when I was talking, so I just kind of look at Avok and look at Willow and Kata and even Aramis just for a second, and if we're going to do something, we need to do it together.
When she said the word chosen, Aramis kind of stepped back a little bit, and you watched his face get a little pale.
I absolutely tried to move the conversation along, ignoring that.
Okay.
I'm upset that she said anything, and I want that to not, maybe he misheard her or something, so I'm going to just be like, without guidance, I'm not willing to point us in any direction. What say you?
I'm not ready to start another war when there's people back home that we have an obligation to.
Yeah, I'm not sticking my neck out for this shit, okay? We fight our way home, and that's all there is to it.
And who knows, maybe we've seen something that'll help us fix the teleportation circle or find a new avenue, I don't know. But I'm not willing to give up on it yet.
Turn back to the Empress, and we can't join your war. As Aramis said, there is no good war. I'm sorry that you have to fight it, but like everyone here has said now, it's your fight. If we can help you in another way, we will. I told you I'll do anything.
I understand completely. As I said before, I will not conscript you into a war that is not your own. You watch as Dalian kind of just slowly moves back to his chair and sits down. Aramis, and he kind of is broken out of his daze. What has been spoken in these chambers shall never leave them. Do we understand? Absolutely, Empress. I would never... I know, but it needed to be said. Warriors from the prime material plane, I wish you the blessing of the gods in your quest. Though you may not realize it, the information you have brought to us has been invaluable. It has filled a 600-year gap in our history and may eventually be enough to make this a turning point in the war. And we are grateful for that. I wish you the best. Theus? And you see Theus come in. Yes, my Empress. I am here to serve you in whatever capacity. That's when Aramis goes, wow, do you talk a lot? And you watch him just stop before saying, shut up, Aramis. What would you have me do, my Empress? Please take these fine people to the treasury, pay them for their service to the crown, and send them on their way. They have done their duty and are now released. Of course, my Empress. If you would follow me.
As long as you keep your mouth shut.
I'm sorry. And Aramis goes, I knew I liked you.
That goes for you too, dipshit.
Maybe not so much. And he walks off, and Theus kind of big grand gesture again. He leads you down a couple corridors to a place with a very large, very, very heavy door in it. He speaks to someone there, and he comes back with a relatively large bag full of coins. Gives it to you guys. And then goes, if you would return to the teleportation room, we can return you to Rubyshire if you would prefer, or we can simply teleport you to the city and you may explore Alandwil as you please.
What is his name? Thorin?
Theus.
Theus. Theus, we don't know anything about this place. Is there like a map room or something that we can look at before we decide where to go?
If you would prefer, I can have a porter meet you at the base of the Imperial Citadel. He can offer you a map of the city, give you a guided tour, anything that you would want.
That sounds wonderful. Are you like Aramis's brother or something? Why do you hate each other so much?
I would never use a word as strong as hate to describe my relationship with someone with which the Empress considers a friend. And since Aramis isn't currently in the room, he goes, he's just a pompous ass.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. Okay. Thanks.
Certainly. Shall I request for the porter?
Oh my god, wait. Who took the money?
Yeah, who did you hand it to?
Who wants
I'll
to
put
take
my
it?
hand out. I'll put my hand out.
Okay. You have the it's heavy.
I look in it, and that doesn't seem like enough.
Well, when you look in it, you notice that it's entirely platinum, and it looks to be roughly about 1,500 platinum pieces.
Holy shit!
I mean, this is definitely...
This is a kingdom that spans an entire plain.
Oh my god, I gotta do some conversions.
Sure, I understand that
Platinum.
this is
This is
platinum.
base
I
10
come from a
math.
city of
I
platinum,
know, I
right?
know.
This is not what I was expecting for helping
It's
save your whole
15,000
regiment.
gold.
Whoo! Okay. Yeah, we got
You guys haven't been paid in 11 levels.
this has been long overdue, clearly.
I'm trying to tax him right now. I'm trying to tax him a little bit here.
Tax away, I've been out of character, so no worries.
Okay. So you're trying to haggle for better.
If not more money, then just more in general. I don't even care if it's information, but I'm going to try to play it off like we were expecting more. Just blanket
Okay.
more.
Make a deception check.
Yep. Yep, that's a 9.
Oh.
Come on, Jody, roll your dice the way you normally do, please.
Well, he had advantage on the check. He looks at you and goes, "No, that is a quite reasonable price for the very small amount of work you have actually done. I would appreciate it if you would accept your payment graciously, like gentlemen, and not beg like a dog."
I fucking slap him.
Just so I understand,
Yep.
you are currently in a room with about a half a dozen guards.
Yep. He insulted me.
Okay.
I have a noble upbringing, and we were just basically told we get to do whatever the fuck we want by his Empress. I'm not putting up with this servant's bullshit.
I need,
Oh boy.
a wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
Wow.
Hey, you've been itching for a fight for 3 hours.
I'm surprised I'm not the one who started it.
It's an 11.
As you bring your hand up to slap him, all of your muscles seize.
Can I talk or no?
Nothing. All of your
Okay.
muscles are seized, aside from your lungs and heart. You know, things that allow you to breathe and live.
Yep.
And he looks at you and goes, "It would be very, very wise for you to never attempt to lift your hand in anger against me." You may all stand down, and the rest of you didn't quite realize that when that happened, all of the guards immediately levied their spears at him, and 2 of them began chanting. And they slowly, the ones that were chanting slowly stop, and everyone else slowly just brings their spears back up. And he goes, "Well, with that, I think we're done here."
Not
And
quite.
you
Where's
guys
my,
instantly feel like your head is being kind of like sucked through a vacuum, and you see this bright lights and color and everything, and suddenly you are on a street. All of your equipment back where it was, where you generally tend to keep it, so your axe is on your back. But you look behind you and you see this very opulent palace behind you with a line of guards in front of it. And as you guys stand there for a little bit, you hear this ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. You see this youngish looking boy, like teenager-ish, running towards you, going, Sir, I've been told you wished for a tour of the city and a map."
Yes, please.
"Here is your map, sir. I can begin the tour whenever you are ready. Would you be interested in anything specific, perhaps finding an inn for
That's a good
you to
start.
place your items and have a brief respite, or perhaps something to eat. May chance you'd like to look at the trade district. We have an amazing selection of items forged with magic and fire.
Yes.
Yes, I gave you multiple options.
I'm sorry. Trade would be great. Thank you.
Certainly, and we shall go there first. And that is where we will pick up next time. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in today. I do run D&D games every Wednesday night here. I have this campaign that's been running for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in, I think, August. This campaign's been running. So really impressive. And cool stuff there. And then the one I run on off weeks, I run this every other week, is a new campaign. It's only been running for a couple of months, and they're just getting to the weird, crazy shit. So feel free to follow here. You can subscribe. I'm now a Twitch affiliate, so you get a really cool emote that you can use whenever you watch a DM break, which happens to me quite often. And then every other Saturday, I run a game over on Zelda Universe, their Twitch channel, called Realms of the Wild, which is an open legend game set in a custom version of the Breath of the Wild world. And they're about to encounter their first dungeon. So, yeah, feel free to do that. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Trainer Jody there. I'm Trainer Jody everywhere. Otherwise, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.